Hello, shoutout po sa ating mga... Hello. Mm-hmm. What happened?
That's why I stood up before we approved the journal, Mr.
For
President.
a full explanation of that, I will refer to the Committee on Rules because to my knowledge, that is the tradition of this chamber. When we pass resolutions and there's no objection, whoever is present during that time is counted as to have voted for it. That has been the tradition even during the time of Senator Sotto.
Thank you, Mr.
But
President.
if that is the inquiry, so that we can set straight our rules and the records, if the gentleman wishes, I will refer to the Committee on Rules and ask them to report out maybe by Monday.
Thank you, Mr. President. Except that Rule 41, as I mentioned, Section 117,
Yes.
maliwanag po sinasabi, pagka wala yung senador sa session hall, at the moment he is called to vote, shall not be counted.
Yes. Which, for example, the resolution against the Chinese ambassador, many of us weren't in the session hall. Pero nung sinabing no objection, kinount din lahat. So, in many periods. But I see the gentleman's point, and if we want to be accurate, then let's ask the Committee on Rules, which includes the minority, to come out with a better formulation.
Let it be placed on record, Mr. President, that my manifestation does not in any way showing sympathy with the NBI agents who grappled with our colleague here. In the first place, Senator De La Rosa is a fellow Cavalier, not to mention a former subordinate in the defunct Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Task Force, and he's a fellow senator.
That's very,
So, just to
yes, that's
just to
very
set
well
the record
taken.
straight.
And for the record, Senator Lacson has always stood up if he thinks that there's a misapplication of the rules. But just on that point of the NBI, I think we're far from going into the whole truth because early this morning, I think 7 a.m., I was watching the videos. I saw, I do not know whose vehicle it is, but it's a white vehicle with 7. Lumalabas ng Senate, pinipilit ng NBI na ocular inspection at tignan sa loob, which is a violation if you do it anywhere in the country, but right outside our gates. So although we agreed with the NBI director for fact-finding, I think this issue is far from over. So I thank you, Senator Lacson, for making that nuance that you are talking about the rules, not the sentiment of the Senate to protect our integrity. No?
On the substantive aspect of my manifestation, Mr. President, para lang hindi na maulit, kasi meron tayong jurisprudence, yung Ong. Remember Lincoln Ong?
Shoutout po sa mga viewers natin dyan.
Parmali controversy.
Shoutout po.
GR number 257401. Bago po ito yung leading case, March 2023. Sinabi ng Supreme Court, and I'll just mention the separate concurring opinion of the no less than the Chief Justice.
Comment lang po sa mga gustong magpa-shoutout. Comment.
Sinabi rito, as succinctly pointed out by the Chief Justice, Alexander G. Gesmundo, witnesses who are charged by Congress with giving false or evasive test. This is pertaining to the committee hearings. Pero must be accorded stricter due process. So yung nangyari kahapon sa President, and I was about to ask again, if it was a direct contempt or an indirect contempt. Because if it was an indirect contempt, all the more that they should have been asked to explain first before they were cited in contempt of the Senate and thereafter taken under the custody of the Senate. So procedurally incorrect or infirm yung ating ginawa. Kaya ko lang pinopoint out para i-correct lang natin yung ating sarili.
Tama,
So,
tama.
Good. The Minority Leader, the former Senate President, first before I comment.
Yes, Mr. President. I yield.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Mr. President. Do I take it that you mean that the practice that we've had before is that when a vote is taken and no one objects, those who answered the call of the roll are deemed present and are deemed that have approved?
I found out when they voted on the resolution where I interpolated Senator Pangilinan. So I was in my room, not on the floor. And I was explained to me that that's the procedure. So even under your
Correct.
Senate presidency minority leader.
Correct.
So that's why I was answering Senator Lacson that I see his point, but to my knowledge, that is the tradition.
Yes, I agree. As a matter of fact, I agree.
Shoutout po
with what you
sa
said in
mga
answer to Senator
11 viewers.
Lacson. But my point, Mr. President, then in that case, then one of us or I who have voted in favor based on our tradition would like a reconsideration, a
Of
motion for
the-
reconsideration of the motion to contempt.
To contempt.
Not
So-
because it is, again, like what Senator Lacson mentioned, it's not about, does not have anything to do with the people of the NBI or us or Senator Bato. It's only based on rules.
Yes.
Why? So, can we move for a reconsideration, Mr. President, so I can explain why?
That is your right, Minority Leader.
All right. Thank you,
so
sir.
anyone who on record voted for any motion has the right during the next day, and actually we're in the same session day, within 2 session days, and technically we're in the same session day. So it is your right to move for reconsideration. Then the Majority Leader will either adhere or will object.
All right. Correct. Thank you, Mr. President. Now, here's the point. Based on our rules, the rules of the Senate, and it is consistent with the fact of the contempt of power of the Senate is limited only during inquiries in aid of legislation. This is what the Committee on Rules will have to tackle in that particular motion to sign in contempt anyone from the session hall. The impeachment court is empowered too, but not the Senate. I cannot find it in the rules. No, you know, Section 18 of the Senate Resolution Number 5, the rules of procedure governing inquiries and in aid of legislation, provides that a chairman, with the concurrence of at least one member of the committee, may punish or cite in contempt any witness before a committee who disobeys any order of the committee or refuses to be sworn or testify or for falsely or evasively testifying. Further, as emphasized in this Senate Resolution 145, the power of contempt is inherent to the enforcement of the right to conduct inquiries in aid of legislation. So, in fact, Senate Resolution 237, such power of contempt was delegated to the subcommittees as they comprise the same membership as the main committee and should have the committee's full powers, including the power to cite and punish witnesses in contempt. All right. Now,
Shout out
other
sa 16
instance
viewers.
that we are
Feel free
allowed
to comment below.
to the power of contempt is during impeachment proceedings constituted as an impeachment court, not as a Senate, only in committee hearings in aid of legislation. So the only instance that contempt is mentioned in our rules is the duty of the Sergeant at Arms to enforce a citation in contempt issued by any committee of the Senate and to detain and place under custody witnesses, etc., etc. And the jurisprudence mentioned by Senator Lacson by the Supreme Court in Uyong versus the Senate of the Philippines, the Supreme Court discussed that concomitant to the power of legislature to conduct inquiries in aid of legislation is its power of contempt impliedly provided under the 1987 Constitution. So that is my point, Mr. President. So I think we should not approve the motion to contempt right away without consulting the Committee on Rules to find out whether this is correct or not. That we can only cite in contempt, the Senate can cite in contempt when we are in aid of legislation and we are in a committee. Maybe
Before we have a ruling, let me
Yes.
just expound on the decision yesterday.
Oho. Nangyari. Siningitan ng may nakasingit na ads. Ayun, shoutout po sa 70. Ano pong masasabi nyo dito? Bago ng Senate President yung nakaupo.
The Supreme Court upheld the inherent right to self-preservation of the legislative body. And the chair explained that if a committee is given a power to hold in contempt, so much more the plenary. And that there are two kinds of contempt. The indirect contempt and the direct contempt. So for example, if
Eto, pinapaliwanag ni Senator Alan na dalawang klase yung contempt kahapon. Di ba kailangan nilang i-refer muna doon sa Committee and Rules. Kasi kahapon biglang sinight in contempt yung mga involved sa pagharang. Kaya Senator Bato, kailangan pa lang parang mabilis, kailangan nilang i-refer muna. Okay?
has to deal with the issue at hand. The ratio decidendi or the reason for the decision always deals with only the issue at hand. And the issue at hand then was the contempt powers of legislation in aid of legislation. But despite that, still the Supreme Court again said, indeed, the exercise of contempt power by legislature is anchored on self-preservation. And they had a footnote from the previous cases. Having said that, I'd like to ask the pleasure of the minority leader.
Yes.
Would you like to vote on it, or would you like us to send this to the legal and then give them a day or two to, or until Monday
yeah.
to, because the problem
Yeah,
with...
I was thinking of that,
Uh-huh.
Mr. President,
Yes.
if you don't mind. I'm sorry for
Yes.
interrupting
Go ahead,
you.
sir.
Salita si-
Because the Supreme Court itself laid down the limitations. Oh, that's why we have
Ayan, sinasabi ni Senator Sotto, yung may limitation yung nilabas ng Supreme Court.
Second limitation, the assailed rules are compliant with the publication requirement of Section 21, Article 6 of the 1987 Constitution. And the third limitation is that the committee failed to accord petitioners their constitutional right to due process relative to the conduct of its proceedings. Therefore, we were in plenary session yesterday, and then we were suspended when this event was being discussed. So, again, the pleasure, really, Mr. President, if you do not mind, is that we refer the motion
Yes.
to the Committee on Rules.
We are in agreement, but just to explain, one example I gave yesterday, even if it wasn't in the rules of court, or even if there's no precedent, if we were in the Supreme Court, And while they were in hearing, I ran after or tried to arrest or tried to mug one of the justices, they can hold me in direct contempt because it's really about self-preservation. So the events yesterday was so grave that yes, we need cooler heads because we really have to discuss the problems of agriculture, the problems of the economy, problems of transportation. Naghihirap talaga mga kababayan natin. And of course, we're all aware that the House voted for impeachment yesterday, so we're all preparing for that. But at the same time, we have to show the world, including our local law enforcers, that you cannot play around with the Senate as an institution. And when you're trying to prevent a member from attending, that is direct contempt of the Senate. So I'm in agreement if we can all agree that we send it first to the legal, and maybe we'll invite any legal staff of all the Senate offices so that they can participate there, because it's an issue that so that we won't take one opinion, hook, line, and sinker, but get all the brilliant minds of the offices of the 24 senators, then discuss it, but and we'll hold the reconsideration in abeyance until we have that, if it's acceptable to the former Senate President.
I concur. So I so move, Mr. President.
Thank you very. So is there any objection to the motion that the ruling, the motion and the ruling to hold in contempt will be now studied by our legal department, who will also invite lawyers from each and every OS or office of the Senate or the 24 senators? If there
So, yan, no? Talagang pinag-usapan talaga, matindi yung pag-uusap nila about doon sa
Mr. President,
gawang
on
habulan.
the second point,
yes.
Habulan doon
The
sa
second
loob ng Senado
made by Senator Marcoleta of
sa
proposing
paglitaw
that Rule
ni Senator
14,
Bato.
Section 4,
So, maganda yung topic, nagtuloy-tuloy. Ito po yung
41B
second day na
of the Senate
ni
rules be amended
Senator Alan Cayetano.
including a new section 41C. Now, while I commend the Senate President for deferring action on the
Oh, sige, medyo paikot-ikot yung ano natin, pero okay lang yan kasi umiikot lang naman yan. At biglang nawala yung ano natin. May signal pa ba tayo? Check nga po.
motion of the Honorable Marcoleta.
Ba yung signal
But
natin?
still, we should bear in mind that if we amend our rules, necessarily we should refer it to the Committee on Rules. We cannot just decide in
Wala na yung mga audience
plenary
natin.
to right there and then amend the rules.
Mahina
If
yung
I
ano yun.
am correct in that regard, Mr. President.
You're not only correct, that's what happened. I referred it to the
Yes,
committee.
that's
on
why
Rules.
I express my admiration and commendation for the action taken by the Senate President.
Yes.
So we're clear on that.
Yes. My interpretation, Senator
Pinuri
Lacson,
si-
is that was the intent
May
of Senator
nag-disagree doon sa
Marcoleta.
pangyayari,
That
pero
because the rules is
majority,
that 1 day for
sumang-ayon sila
consideration.
doon sa decision
Yeah,
ng
for a
bagong
motion,
new-
it's 1 day. I'll just paraphrase. So my interpretation, of course, I didn't stand up and go near to Senator Marcoleta, but my interpretation was that my understanding is I always have to follow rules. We always have to follow. So when a senator makes a motion and there is a specific rule, then we will follow. But the Committee on Rules is allowed to meet right away, but that doesn't mean they can meet right away and not follow the 1 day. The 1 day rule.
Yeah. Thank you for the clarification, Mr.
And thank you
President.
for
That would be all.
Yes, and to be fair
To be fair.
to our former Senate President Mig Subiri, he also made it very clear that our tradition is that if it is amendment of the rules, we consult and then we not only give a copy. So actually the Secretariat rewrote the proposal, and maybe I could just say that all of these were a product of what happened yesterday. No, and of course most of us had some sleep last night. I don't know Senator Bato if he had good sleep. He told me he
Hindi
was not able
nakatulog
to
yun.
sleep last night, but Senator Padilla, who stayed with him, said you were sleeping very well. So, but maybe cooler heads today, and hopefully we'll get our job done.
there.
No? Yeah.
Yes,
Majority Leader.
Yes, Mr.
Thank you,
President.
Senator Lacson. Thank you.
Mr. President, and also just to put on record this representation, when this representation filed that motion, I was actually asking the plenary during that time about the possibility of looking into that particular incident. But anyway, Mr. President, we just also want to put on record that what we are trying to approve, Mr. President, the journal of the 61st session, Wednesday, last May 6, Mr. President, not yesterday. So just to put that on record, it's May 6, 2026 was last week, and that is the motion that we are putting.
So any
on the
objection
table.
that we approve the journal of the session of Wednesday, May 6, 2026? If there's no objection or amendments, the motion is approved.
Thank you, Mr. President. And before we proceed, may I just put into the records, Mr. President, our gratitude and thanks for our guests who are here with us, guests of Senator Padilla, the Bangsamoro women from Barangay Maharlika, Taguig City, Mr. President, they are here. Guests of Senator Ontiveros, LGU officials of Bulalakaw, Oriental Mindoro,
Bulalakaw.
led by Mayor Lumelito Cabagay. We welcome them in this August chamber, Mr. President.
You're recognized and welcome. No?
Mr. President,
Maybe, Majority Leader, in behalf also of the Senate, I also apologize to those who had to stay longer within the Senate yesterday while we were identifying the agents who ran after Senator Bato. I think even former CHED head
Sino
Popoy
kaya yung
Rivera
humuli?
and many others were here. And Senator Pia also reminded me that there are hearings scheduled, and just to inform the body, the tradition is even if the positions are vacant, you can continue with the scheduled hearings because they are the same members, and the chairman is automatically a member. Senator Bam Aquino?
Mr. President, I'd like to clarify. There's a BICAM scheduled for Thursday
Yes.
on the voucher bill, which has been passed on third reading here and in the House. Shall we also continue with the BICAM for the voucher program, Mr.
Yeah,
President?
if there's no objection, I think we should all continue. And in fact, I'm hoping to have a all Senator caucus soon. I just don't know if today or tomorrow, to discuss the committees and to even consult the minority even before we offer certain committees. But anything that is pending and should be, I think the only things that are technically on hold is new hearings and the sponsorships on the floor pending designation of chairmen.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
the
you for
clarification,
asking
Mr.
that.
President.
Mr. President,
Senator
Senator Pangilinan is
Pangilinan.
also seeking the floor.
It's just a clarification
Ayun,
as
next.
regards the hearings of the committees that can be conducted. When we say we will not be conducting new hearings, does this exclude hearings that were suspended and will just be, under our rules, allowed to resume as the hearings have yet to be terminated?
So the tradition is if there's a vacancy in the chairmanship, there's a vice chairman that takes over. But if the vacancy is in all, the
Which is the case, Mr. President, because
in all, the chairman can continue the hearings that are ongoing. So
Okay.
my interpretation is, let's say you had a hearing today, you conducted it, then you say the next hearing is Monday. But we hope to finish the committees by Monday in
Umina ulit yung net natin.
consultation with everyone. so that hindi nga maipit lahat ng trabaho na.
So with the understanding, Mr. President, that this
Nag-attempt.
suspension of our rules by unanimous.
Thank you sa like, thank you sa like. Oh. Shoutout sa 100 viewers. Seventeen viewers. Shoutout po sa 17 viewers.
Consent.
It's not a suspension, it's a tradition that is consistent with the rules. Because when you're chairman, you're automatically still a member of that. Yes. I'm telling you what the Secretariat informed me yesterday because Senator Pia called me and said, called my attention and told me na presyo ng kuryente yung hearing niya. So unless we designate her again as chairman of energy. So I consulted the secretariat and they mentioned the tradition that you don't have to cancel the hearing.
Just a question, Mr. President.
Yes, Mr.
Thank you.
Independent.
Thank you, Mr.
Independent
President.
leader. There's two of you.
Nag-abstain
There's
kasi.
two of
Dalawa
us,
sila ni
two
JB
independent leaders.
Hercito.
But Mr. President, just a quick question. Yes, because it's a bit confusing to our colleagues when they asked about their committee reports. Some are already supposed to be handled on the floor, the committee hearings, because I can recall that the motion yesterday was all positions vacant. So if it's all positions vacant, that would also mean the memberships,
Yes.
Mr. President.
Because that's correct.
Yeah, so I'm just asking for clarification so that we can be guided accordingly. If we do, then we have to reorganize really quickly.
That's why, Mr. President, if I may suggest, by unanimous consent, we can suspend our rules.
Suspending the rules.
And I would like to think that would be the better route in terms of allowing hearings to be conducted by former committee chairpersons and former
Shoutout sa 21
members
viewers.
until Monday, as the Senate President earlier mentioned, that you would have disposed of the issue by Monday.
Yes. I am overwhelmed by the number of brilliant minds and former Senate Presidents. So with your permission to answer the question, former Senate President Escudero will give
Yes,
his
Mr. President.
input.
To lend some clarity to the issue at hand, I would like to read and spread onto the record Section 19 of our own rules. The chairman and the
Out of prudence and respect, for
What
the
happened?
body. But let's say he was
Ayun.
hearing something about nutrition that everyone accepts.
Yes, connected
He
with it.
would probably
Shout
continue
out
his
sa
hearing. But actually, this will also
112
be
viewers.
academic because
Feel free.
probably by tomorrow and Monday, we will start and finish reading all of the chairmanships. And
Comment
you
for
usually
shoutout.
you have to have 3-day notice. So even if you want to have a hearing Monday or Tuesday, you have to have the notice tomorrow. So by Monday, we'll have all of this settled. I just mentioned it because Senator Pia reminded me about her hearing, and then I read some comments about some important matters and the cancellation. No? So it was really meant to address the present situation, maybe today, tomorrow, and Friday, if everyone has the pleasure of hearing on Friday, which includes Senator Bam, napaka-importante matapos natin yung voucher program. No?
Well, Mr. President, if I may suggest, so that we can dispense with this, let's just suspend the rules with unanimous consent, with the understanding that this is to be a suspension until Monday when the matter has been resolved
Well,
the
with the
problem-
election of new
The problem is, if you
chairpersons.
suspend the rule, you'll suspend Section 19, then it will be
Ano
worse
nang
because
nangyari?
there'll be no...
Well,
Aha.
Mr. President, the trouble also with Section 19 is that it assumes there is a chairperson and a vice chairperson and members. We already
Anong nangyari? Nawala. Nawala na.
You love building high-performing
Pero anyway,
websites, but you don't love
kanina kasi kahapon pinag-usapan nila dito
having to
yung
chase clients down for content, coding plugins, or
Pinag-usapan nila
endlessly
dito
switching
yung-
between tools. What if you
Bali,
could work
nag-resume
without the
to
grind?
Nag-resume ngayon di ba? So shoutout sa 21 viewers natin
Some
dyan.
cases, hope. Ang AX ay matagal nang
Aha. Ito, nagsasalita na si Senator Bongo.
included.
Tuloy natin.
Sometimes the alignments are political, sometimes the
Oh.
bill are the same. So it really depends, no?
Yes,
But
yes.
Nawala. Meron yan.
depends, no?
Yes,
But
yes.
Actually, yan yan.
again, the new majority will endeavor to finish the reorganization latest Monday, no?
Okay, thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Just for the
So
record.
the comments are on the record and referred to the Committee on Rules.
Yes, Mr. President. And just for the record, we were supposed to sponsor two measures
Palike,
on,
palike po, palike.
under the as chairman of the Committee on Justice on the citizenships of two the principal sponsor, Senator Bongo and Senator Pia Cayetano.
Are they here today?
They were here yesterday, but I want to know if we can schedule it
Yes.
tomorrow.
Majority Leader,
Mr. President.
may I request that you discuss with Senator Pangilinan and the two sponsors? Maybe we can accommodate tomorrow.
Because there is a timeline as
Yes.
to the. Okay, thank you, Mr. President. Thank you. We will be ready tomorrow.
Sige, tuloy yung mga iba naman dyan.
We'll do that, Mr. President, and I hope the real majority leader will be elected soon, Mr. President. Mr. President, at this juncture, and just to
You mean
give
the
our
permanent,
colleagues,
permanent majority leader, not
colleagues,
the-
the opportunity to vote on third reading, Mr. President, may I respectfully move to consider on third reading of bills. Mr. President, the printed copies of these bills were electronically distributed to the members on May 8, 2026 in compliance with the 3-day rule in the Constitution. And so with that, Mr. President, I move to approve on third and final reading Senate Bill number 1894, this bill enhancing the Universal Access to Quality Tertiary Education Act. So move, Mr. President.
Any objection? There being none,
Papatuloy.
consideration of Senate Bill number 1894 on third reading is in order. The Senate Secretary is directed to read the title of the bill and proceed with the voting.
Senate Bill number 1894, an act enhancing the Universal Access to Quality Tertiary Education Act, amending for the purpose of Public Act number
Ito,
10931.
tignan natin si
Roll call of members.
Senator
Aquino,
Lacson ulit.
Senator Cayetano Pia, Senator De La Rosa,
The
Ito.
chairperson of the committee, Senator Erwin Tulfo. Mr. President, the good gentleman is seeking the floor. May
Senator, with the
Mr.
indulgence of
President,
Senator
before we
Tulfo.
recognize Senator
Yeah.
Erwin Tulfo, there is a
Senator Lacson.
Yeah, just a point of clarification.
there's a
Yes.
point of clarification. Maybe
Senator Lacson
acknowledge
is
that.
recognized.
Yes, I would just like to be clarified, Mr. President. In what capacity is Senator Pangilinan sponsoring a committee report tomorrow? I have a suggestion along that line. Maybe
Yes.
the body can designate him as, in holdover capacity. So he can be, officially
That's a
capacitated.
good suggestion, just to align in pursuant with Section 19.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. So if there are no objections, thank you for
Wala.
the suggestion, Senator Lacson. Senator Erwin Tulfo.
Ah,
Thank
si
you,
Erwin,
Mr. President. A
Senator
quick manifestation. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, as your outgoing chairperson of the Senate Committee on Social Justice, Welfare, and Rural Development, I wish to place on record my profound gratitude and deep appreciation as this August chamber approves on third reading Senate Bill number 1966 under Committee Report number 46 entitled The Assistance to Individuals in Crisis Situation, or AIX Act. This legislation goes beyond merely institutionalizing assistance. It institutionalizes the spirit of malasakit in public service. More importantly, it affirms our collective duty as a public servant to ensure that in times of hardship and uncertainty, government responds not with indifference, but with urgency, compassion, and decisive action for the welfare of every Filipino. Sa gitna po ng hirap at pangangailangan, hindi dapat pinapabayaan ng ating mga kababayan. Ang tulong ng pamahalaan ay dapat mabilis, maayos at may malasakit. Mr. President, allow me to extend my sincerest gratitude to all the authors who stood behind this measure. Senator Amy Marcos, Senator Christopher Bongo, Senator Jingo Estrada, to Senator Joel Villanueva, who conveyed his intention to be made co-author of this significant bill. Thank you, Madam and sirs. Your support reflects our shared belief that public service
Shoutout po
has
sa
always
50
put
viewers
people first.
natin. Minus
Maraming salamat po sa inyong dedikasyon
45.
at tunay na malasakit sa sambayan ng Pilipino. The significance of the AIX program becomes even more evident during periods of national and global
Senator
uncertainty.
Erwin yung
When
nagsasalita.
ordinary Filipinos are most vulnerable to the effects of economic disruption. Sa panahon po ng krisis, higit na naramdaman ng ating mga kababayan ang pangangailangan ng agarang tulong at tunay na malasakit mula po sa ating pamahalaan. Amid the recent tensions involving Iran and resulting volatility in global oil prices, assistance mechanism under AIX program became an important source of relief for many Filipinos, particularly in transport drivers and operators who bore the heavy burden of rising fuel costs. Sa patuloy na pagtaas ng presyo ng langis, maraming super at operator ang nahirapang maitawid po, Ginoong Pangulo, ang araw-araw na pangangailangan ng kanilang pamilya. Through timely emergency assistance and fuel subsidy interventions, our government was able to provide much-needed relief and help lighten the daily burden of those who, despite rising costs and personal sacrifices, continue to keep our communities connected, our economy moving forward.
Ano nang nangyari?
Sa pamagitan po ng agarang tulong mula sa AIX, na ipapakita po natin na ang pamahalaan may malasakit ay hindi po nagpamabaya, lalo na sa mga manggagawang patuloy na nagsasakripisyo para sa sambayanan. To the committee's technical working groups, partner agencies, and hardworking personnel behind this legislation, we thank you for transforming compassion into concrete action.
Thank you din po.
To my distinguished colleagues, may we continue to craft laws that are not only responsive but humane. Law that recognizes that governance is not merely about programs and budgets, but about people, dignity, and hope. Ang pagpasa po ng AIX Act ay isang matibay na patunay na ang pamahalaan ay may malasakit, ay pamahalaang tunay na kumakalinga, handa lagi umalalay, umunawa at tumugon sa pangangailangan ng bawat Pilipino sa oras po ng kagipitan. Again, Mr. President, to all the authors and supporters of the AIX Act, thank you for your unity, compassion, and unwavering commitment to the Filipino people. We stand united, no matter what political colors we have. There is no crisis too great that we cannot overcome. Muli po, maraming salamat sa aking mga kasamahan, both in the majority and minority, at sa sambayan ng Pilipino. Thank you and good afternoon, Ginoong Pangulo.
The chair
Ayan pa mga kababayan,
the work of the good senator in social justice and social
nagtutuloy-tuloy po yung nagtutuloy-tuloy po yung hearing sa Senado at ito yung pang 2 days na pag-upo ni Senate President Alan Cayetano. Sa mga gustong magpa-shout out, no, patuloy niya. Ayan, nagsasalita si Senator Alan, Joel, panay bills yung kanilang pinag-uusapan para ma-fill upan. Maari bang makuha ko kung ano yung mga opinion po ninyo dahil nakita naman ninyo na iba na yung nakaupo. At itong si Senator Lawrence, siya ang naging deputy tempore. Okay. O ano po yung masasabi nyo sa palit ng mga liderato ng Senado? Okay? Mabubuhay pa ba? May naking pag-asa ba yung investigasyon sa flood control? Magpapatuloy ba? Ano sa palagay nyo? Paki-comment nyo lang po dyan sa baba at basahin po natin sa kahit replay na, no? So, hanggang dyan lang muna yung live natin. Maraming salamat sa nanood kasi meron tayong 400, umabot ng 400 views. So, malaking bagay po yan. Maya-maya, mag-live tayo about doon sa mga highlight ulit, no? So, sa mga first time po na makapasok dito, feel free to comment, subscribe kung hindi po kayo nakapag-subscribe para ma-update kayo sa mga bagong highlight na kaganapan dito sa ating kapulungan. Okay? So, God bless you all. Once again, ito po ang iyong Kuya Bonete. Laging nananalangin isang katagumpayan para sa inyong trabaho, sa inyong negosyo at proteksyon sa inyong mga biyahe. And siyempre, health is wealth. So, kalusugan. Karoon ng malusog na kalusugan at malayo sa mga karamdaman. So, diyan muna kayo, dito ako. Tayo muna pansamantala.